great love. Just want to thank you all for coming this evening and giving up your time on a lovely evening now. We could be doing all better things, but to us this is important, and we're very keen to hear what you all have to say tonight. Now there'll be a couple of people giving a few talks, but most of tonight will relate to the tables and you talking to others. So before I start, I just want to point out where the fire exits are. I think you're all Enniscorthy people all know they're there and at the far end. And then secondly, you've all been so good with your COVID protection and coming in and going through all these motions. We'd like to ask you to keep your masks on during the meeting and for others. People will feel much more comfortable at your table. If you forget about it, like sometimes I do, we'll come and give you a gentle reminder to wear them. If you don't have a mask, we have plenty around the place, so you've probably been getting them coming in as well. So that's really the first thing that I want to say tonight. Please stay safe. We don't want anyone going home from this event anyway impaired at all. It's a horrible disease, and if we could all just do that, I'd really appreciate it. The first thing I'll do is introduce Cathal Byrne, who's the Cancorlaach of the Enniscorthy district. So effectively you're techno mayor. So Cathal, hand over to you.
Thanks very much. Cathal Byrne is my name. I have the tremendous honour of being the Cathaoirleach of the Enniscorthy district. As you know, we have 6 councillors in the Enniscorthy district. I think I see all of them here tonight: Councillor O'Rourke, Councillor Brown, Councillor Owens, Councillor Murphy and Councillor Codmole. 4 months ago there was an application submitted from Wexford County Council for a project in Wexford Town called Trinity Wharf, and that project received about 20 million euros in funding. Enniscorthy at the same time submitted an application which was unsuccessful. Naturally, the 6 councillors that are here tonight effectively weren't too happy about that. And we went back to the council and we said to them that Enniscorthy deserves funding just as much as anywhere else. Next March, the government have confirmed that there will be a further call for funding along the same lines as that which Wexford received, Wexford Town. We're here tonight because we have asked the council, who, to be fair, have listened, that the people of Enniscorthy deserve exactly the same as the people of Wexford Town, which is an opportunity to put their best foot forward for an application for funding. I'm very grateful on behalf of the councillors here tonight to each and every one of you who have turned out tonight in difficult times to put forward your opinions and your views as to what exactly that application should look like. The most important thing to take from tonight is that this is an opportunity to give your feedback. If you have something that you think that Enniscorthy needs or deserves or that should happen, this is your chance to say directly to the officials in Wexford County Council what that is, when it should happen and how it should be delivered. There's a credible, real chance with 3 Oireachtas members here in the town to put forward a strong application in March for funding. The final thing I would say is that Wexford County Council have engaged a consultant who are here tonight called Loki. They'll be giving a short presentation, and they've been taken on to help put forward the best possible application that can be for the town here. So I'm not going to say any more. I genuinely appreciate you coming out, and on behalf of the 6 councillors here in the town, thank you very much, and we look forward very much to your feedback. Thank you.
I just want to sort of echo some of the stuff that Cathal has said there. We're from the planning department. The district offices are working strongly, and Caroline Godkin there, the manager of the town, is here. And basically we have Anne-Marie Laffin from our community section. We have a bigger team behind us also working in the council, including our county architects, our housing department, our environment section, and the list goes on. This is really going to be as collaborative approach as we can. But the important thing is to bring yourselves into that and become a very strong part and a very strong pillar of the work that we're about to do. So I'll introduce you to Conor Norton, who's our heading up our team of consultants. Conor is the IPI president, which is important to me because that's my professional institute. He comes with a lot of experience in work in County Wexford, and in fact, I know he doesn't like to give out too much about it or whatever, but has got relatives here in Enniscorthy and certainly has a past in Enniscorthy as well. So I'll hand you over to Conor.
Thanks very much, Chair Dermot. Yeah, it's first thing I suppose is it is a great pleasure to be here tonight. It's been a strange time, I know, for everybody over the last 18 or more months. It's been strange for us as well because it's been hard for us to kind of communicate or to do our job, which is basically placemaking in collaboration with communities, etc. So we're actually delighted to be back doing collaborative planning, and so it's a great pleasure to be back this evening, and it's kind of lifted us as well. So it's a two-way process there. So this evening is all about, I suppose, the start of a process really for us, and our job here is to essentially to provide an overarching strategy for the regeneration of the town centre that will provide a longer term vision for Enniscorthy, but it will also provide the platform or the basis for projects and other programmes going forward. So as was mentioned earlier, of course, in the immediate term there's a great urgency to make sure that we have a strategy that's robust and that can underpin, for example, bids for funding in the near term. But there's a longer term role for this strategy as well, in that it needs to inform the work that will be going on over the next couple of years in the transport plan, and of course the statutory local area plan for Enniscorthy itself. So one of the things I suppose is we're going to give a brief update on how we're getting on, and then we'll describe obviously what the process is this evening, and we want that to be very collaborative. We're in a staged process ourselves. We've been busy collecting data, if you want to call it like that, surveying. We've been on the street, we've been taking photos, we've been analysing buildings and land uses and things like that, and we're getting our information together. And the consultation here is a hugely important part of that, an input into this plan making or strategy making process. So there are other things, of course, in the offing. As I've mentioned, the transportation plan and the local area plan, and we'll be trying to knit in with those processes as well. So our timelines at the moment, we are working towards completion of the project in March 2022, and we're hoping to have a follow-up consultation event probably mid-January. Okay, just to actually just introduce ourselves, maybe Lewis, if you want to do that. There's three of us on the team at the moment, and there's myself, Lewis and Anthony, and they'll be meeting us later this evening. The programme, look, this is the welcome obviously, but the first is a short briefing by ourselves on some of the work that we've been doing. We'll keep that brief, and then we're going to launch into three elements this evening, and it'll be discussions around the table. We'll have facilitators and maybe correspondents or reporters from each of the tables as well. So the first one is obviously going to be around what you expect from a strategy. The second task will be what are the key issues and opportunities. And then I think we'll finish the evening on sort of touching on a vision or a future for the town centre in Enniscorthy. So I'll hand over to Anthony.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. This slide, the pyramid behind us, this contextualises the Irish planning system. And it's a hierarchy, so at the top of the apex, you have the National Planning Framework, and it directs strategic objectives down the planning system, down to the local level. And that's where we're at here in Enniscorthy, at the local level. So it's the local area plan. And what we're doing today, we're looking at an urban regeneration strategy for the town centre, and that will feed into the local area plan, which will happen next year. We've been doing a number of studies. We've been looking at all of the different planning documents and the different initiatives over the last decade in Enniscorthy and putting that together. And we're also looking at best practice in urban regeneration. And urban regeneration, for it to be successful, it needs the community on board. So the first thing, it must be holistic. It can't just be about physical things. It must also have a social and economic dimension. And it must be collaborative. It must include the community, because that's where the local knowledge is to inform a vision. And that's what we're about, creating a vision. And let's think of it 20 years, a vision for Enniscorthy. And an agreed vision, a shared vision, that individual development proposals or applications for funding that can follow that vision to try and realise the future, the agreed future. Thank you. I'm going to pass you over to Lewis, who's going to show some of our preliminary findings to date.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Good evening, everyone. I'll try and be brief as possible. So this is just to update you guys on the current studies we're currently doing. In carrying out the studies, we try to employ a robust and evidence-based methodology that really helped us to carry out an extensive research. And one of the studies we carried out was the land use study. Here we tried to identify all the uses for that ground floor and upper floor levels. And as you could see from the slide, about 50% of the current ground floor use is residential, which are normally located at the fringes of the town centre, while other non-residential uses are located at the core of the town. Just more of this in detail, I think during our study and survey, we discovered that about 75% of comparison uses were located at the two streets along the market square, while about 70% of convenience uses were located on streets off and outside the market square. We also discovered a healthy number of retail and other retail units across the town centre, but in particular, most of the retail and other retail units were located in Weaver Street. We also identified two main hotels, the Tracy and also the Promenade, and we also saw a lot of bars and other leisure units across the town. However, about 50% of these leisure services were located in Temple Shannon and also the Market Square area. And we also discovered that about 1 in 5 of the financial and business services were located at Slaney Park. Another study we carried out was to understand the status of the building, and not just that, the building conditions of the whole town centre. And we discovered that the status is also directly related to the building conditions. As you could see from the chart there, about 70% of the buildings in the town centre is occupied, while about 10% has upper floor vacancy, while a staggering, that's 1 in 5 of the buildings are fully vacant. And most of these buildings that are fully vacant are in poor conditions. In detail, we tried to identify, we saw that there are 2 main streets that has high, more than 50% vacancy, the Castle Street and Temple Shannon, and these 2 streets had similar characteristics, and they had traffic, two-way traffic along there, and also the public realm didn't encourage pedestrian movement and active frontage on the streets. We also discovered there were a lot of upper floor vacancies towards the town core, and one of the studies we are trying to understand is there direct access from the ground floor to the upper floor. We saw that about 50% of these buildings does not have a direct access from the upper floor to the from the ground floor to the upper floor. And we also did a height study to understand the height along within the town center. We discovered that most of the buildings there are 2 stories, but within the core we have about 3 to 6 stories. And we are currently doing other studies, urban design studies like topography and landscape study, the urban structure study, movement study, urban form study, and the land views and landmarks. I'll just try and briefly go through this as possible. When you look at the urban and landscape structure, you could see that there are 2, like I said, main hubs. You're looking at the Vinegar Hill, you have the Slaney River, and also you have the Market Square and the Orchard Peace Park, and we also have little pocket parks within the town. Then this is also the movement structure. You can see that the main routes are within the Wexford Road, going through Island Road, and also through the west and east. You have the Shannon and Temple Shannon going along through the town centre, through Duffy Gate. And from, you can see from Vinegar Hill, we try to understand is there any landmark features around the site, and we see there are 3 main, let's say, distant landmark features. We have the cathedral, we have the castle, and you also have maybe church, and we also have other, like I say, secondary landmark features around the site. And this is more like putting everything together. Okay, I think I'm going to call on Anthony to kickstart the process. I hope I didn't take much time. Okay.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Okay, the fun part begins now. We're going to ask a number of very simple questions. And firstly, there will be a facilitator at each of your tables. And there are some maps and markers also, and there's a hand sanitizer. So if you use the markers, if you could please use the hand sanitizer afterwards. We also need you to agree for one person at each table to be a spokesperson for the table, if you can do that. So the facilitator will help you if you have any queries in relation to our first question. And our first question is, what do you expect from the regeneration strategy? So we have 10 minutes to discuss this at the table, and if you could agree to a spokesperson within the 10 minutes, and then 5 minutes to feedback your thoughts. Thank you.